Good day, viewers. Welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television with me, Manir Dan Ali. Our guest today is a senator of the Federal Republic representing Kebbi North. I'm talking of none other than Senator Yahaya Abdullahi, who, before coming to the Senate, was a federal permanent secretary in the Ministry of Niger Delta, was a commissioner in Kebbi State, was a senior lecturer and ASU chairman in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Senator, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Kebbi State is in the news for the wrong reasons. The abduction of the 20-plus girls from Maga, which is a town somewhere in Zuru area, in Donko Wasagu local government. And I understand that you are concerned, like all right-thinking Nigerians, about what has happened. What exactly have you done as a senator of the Federal Republic relating to this issue?
Thank you very much for having me on this very tragic, event and others, that have happened all over the nation. Well, immediately when we heard about this, there are three senators, of course, representing Kebbi. The senator who is immediately responsible for that zone, Senator Medoki, immediately took a plane and went to the Zulu area and was able to commiserate and see for himself what had happened. Senator Aleru, who is Kebbi Central, was also available absent. He was out of the country. So immediately it fell on me, to raise the matter on that day in the Senate.
As a ranking senator, who has been there.
Exactly. So immediately I saw the Senate President, I told him, and he also was aware how important this issue is. So he permitted me to raise a motion of national and public importance, matter of public importance. So I immediately raised the motion with about 5 prayers. The first prayer is to condemn the Dastardly Act.
Condemnation is not enough.
Condemnation is not enough.
Yes.
But that's the first prayer, to condemn the Dastardly Act, and which we regarded, and they say that there is a slap on the face of this nation. It has been happening all over. The girls in Dapchi, the girls in Gusau, Bini Yauri also in Kebbi State. It happened there with the girls, and it took a long time before even those girls were...
Over 2 years. Some of them returned with pregnancy from the bandits.
Yes, from the bandits. So it was a very tragic and heart-rending matter. I read the motion and I made it very clear, in the motion that any nation, that cannot even protect its own children, has no future. If we cannot protect children in their learning environment, whereby we are sending messages, don't go to school because you will be kidnapped.
But some Nigerians interpret it to say that, well, senators' children are not involved, the governor's children are not involved, the president's children, all the big men in Nigeria's children are not affected, and that's why they think there is this lackadaisical attitude to
No, I partly agree with them, but we also understand that they are not living in the vulnerable environments. When the bandits come, they are not going to ask whose daughter you are. They are going to pack as many daughters as possible. It so happens that senators, governors are not living in the environment.
Or their children are studying
abroad, or some elite schools in urban centers, which are sort of having better security, environment than
some people say that is one of the Nigerian problem. We always like to move away. We find alternatives for ourselves.
Exactly.
When there isn't enough light, we buy generators.
Exactly.
These days, we buy solar. When the water board cannot deliver, we sink boreholes in our houses.
Exactly.
So now, with insecurity, we move away from our communities and concentrate.
Look at even the public education. All of us went through public schools, funded by native authorities. We went through provincial schools, funded by provinces. We went through universities, funded by the federal and the state government or ICSA or whatever. But now, A lot of the children that you see are not even the public universities are collapsing.
So who is it to blame? Is it you, the people who are in position of authority?
We blame ourselves. You know, it's the breakdown of the morality and the purposefulness of governance.
How do you feel personally as someone who once was head of ASU, a lecturer, fire-eating revolutionary, and then who now puts himself ensconced in the federal bureaucracy and now in a very comfortable position in the Senate?
Well, I feel very let down, you know, that I cannot absolve myself, you know, from responsibility for some of these things that have happened. But I'm not the only one in governance. And throughout my career, you know, I have tried, you know, to stay on the path of rectitude. You know, when I was a teacher, I was a head of department of agricultural economics at Woodville University for years. I taught there for close to 15 to 20 years. I became commissioner of Sokoto State. Later on, when Kebbi was created, I was there. You know, I came to the public service, you know, left as a permanent secretary. Thought we would come at least start a new vision. You know, in the APC, we went to an opposition party. We fought and it won an election.
That is, you were like a typical politician. You were in both parties. You were at one time in APC, one of the founding members.
Yes.
Moved to PDP.
We had some problems
to secure election,
so that we can.
And then now, like everybody, you are going back to the APC. You've gone back to the APC.
This is the thing, because the PDP could not hold itself together. When we came in, we thought that the party can sit down and establish a platform that could provide a veritable foundation, you know, for a new rescue process. But it means that they cannot even rescue themselves. So what option do we have?
So before we go to the problems of PDP and the politics and all of that, can we go back to this issue of MAGA and the resolutions? I saw that you were calling for the recruitment of 100,000 soldiers or so,
yes,
so as to boost the numbers.
Well, I was stating the resolution that we had. The first one was to condemn the act in totality.
Yes.
You know. Then the second issue is to call on the federal government, you know, to really pay attention and really react as quickly as possible, so that they should be able to rescue the guys within days, not months or whatever.
Yes, the security analysts tell us that the more days they spend, the less
likelihood is there
for them to for
So we moved the federal government to move in quickly with all the security agencies. That's the second motion, the second prayer. The third prayer is that we commiserate with the state government and the parents of the children and the local government chairman and all those locations. We commiserate with them on what had happened. The fourth one was the people who are injured in the process, for them to get, you know, healing. Then the fifth one was the vice principal who was killed. You know, we did 1 minute silence, you know, in honor of the one who was killed. Now, when the issue came for public debate, I think it was Adam Oshimole who raised this issue
of numbers.
Because a lot of the people were talking, and it's quite true, that we don't have boots on the ground. So before that time, you know, the Senate confirmed members of the leadership of the armed forces.
Yes.
You know, that was changed by the president a few weeks ago. Yes. And during deliberations, it came out that Nigeria has even less than 200,000 soldiers. You know, policemen are not even up to 400,000. You know, all the other armed things together were not even up to 1 million. For a population of 230 million, that's an undermanned system. And
so are you declaring an emergency? Are you doing something concrete to boost the numbers? Because we know we've been there before.
We have been there.
Under Buhari,
yes,
he made the promise of recruiting 10,000 policemen or so.
Yes.
And then the whole thing was made in controversy between the IG's office, Inspector of General, and the police
even went to court. They were fighting each other.
And the whole government, including you, were watching them.
No, we didn't watch.
We
didn't watch.
Did you get the IG sacked or the Police Service Commission?
The Senate can't sack them. It's the president who will sack them.
Did you get the president to do so?
We couldn't get the president to do so. and resolutions were passed. And we called the Senate and I was Senate leader at that time.
Yes.
We called all the institutions there, the Public Service, the Police Service Commission and the IG. We told them, we are disgracing this government. You know, how are you?
But what don't count is action. Maybe if they get sacked, the next IG will not play with the matter.
The person who will sack them is the president. The Senate cannot sack anybody.
And you couldn't prevail on the president to do so.
We made a resolution. Every resolution that the Senate makes, it goes to the office of the president. In fact, it goes to the office of the secretary to the government of the federation, who is supposed to tell the president that this is our position.
So, given the numbers of resolutions you have done which have been ignored,
of course,
the Senate becoming or the National Assembly becoming irrelevant?
Well, the National Assembly, more or less, unless the president is dutiful enough, you know, to really consider the National Assembly as a responsible institution that he can now
take their resolution seriously.
The federal government does not take National Assembly resolution seriously, and we know it.
And how do you feel sitting there,
we are there,
like with all your agbadas, well-dressed, and then
we make resolutions,
and all of those resolutions that are just ignored?
Really, they count for really next to nothing. So a lot of the things that we look. When I was Senate leader, we came up with a resolution on the security, national security architecture.
Yes.
You know, we sat for more than close to a month and invited all the security agencies. They came and we discussed all these issues with them. What are the challenges? What are the problems? What are the whole thing? We gathered everything. We made a report, about 3 volumes of reports, including a summary. You know, which when the President Buhari appointed the next batch of security who succeeded Buratai and others, we personally handed over copies of these documents. We gave it to the office of the Chief of Staff to the President, National Security Advisor, all the armed forces. The documents itself, we handed it over in the guest house of the President of the Senate to these. All
these various
we gave all of them copies. Please go and put your hands together and look at what we have recommended so that you can see what architecture, what kind of responsibilities are there. If in the process of implementation, you know, you have a problem, let's sit down with you. Nobody had ever heard of it.
And so probably they never read them.
And it's not even now that you are having this, you know. Don't forget that I was also in the civil service. I was the secretary to the Presidential Panel on National Security that Obasanjo established in the year 2000, including led by this erudite emeritus professor, Tekene Tamuno, yes, with the Gambo, the most potent security, IG, yes, the most potent security personnel that the nation can have.
At the time,
with both in the military, the emir of Gondu, who is now there, he was a member of the panel.
The former general, former military administrator.
Yes, he was a member of the panel, and they are very erudite people.
So it's not for lack of understanding the problems.
We worked for more than 1 year, visited every part of this country. We pointed out all these issues of this where the fire points are.
So all this had been articulated.
Yes, we made a report to the president. Nobody did anything about it.
It was just ignored.
It was ignored. And he set up the panel. When Yar'Adua came to power, he set up the committee on the reform of the Nigerian police force. He made me a member.
Yes.
You know, under late MD Yusuf.
MD Yusuf.
And all the former IGs, including Gambo, Ibrahim, Kumasi, Atta, not Atta,
some other
known police IGs were there. We made a report and sent it to him. Unfortunately, he died, you know, before he could act on it. When Jonathan came, you know, instead of working on the report that we sent, he set up another police reform panel under the then Police Service Commission chairman, Paddy Oyasade.
Yes, Paddy
Osayende.
Yes.
You know, I don't know what report they submitted, but Paddy knew me very well. So I helped him craft some of the things on the basis of what we did in the earlier panel led by late MD Yusuf.
Very interesting point you are making there. Yes, nothing happened, and I will want us to understand why nothing happened when we come back from this short break. Viewers, it is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Senator Yahaya Abdullahi, representing Kebbi North in the Nigerian Senate.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. It is still 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is a former Federal Permanent Secretary, former ASU Chairman, lecturer at Ahmadu Bello University, Commissioner in both Sokoto and Kebbi states, and now representing Kebbi North in the Nigerian Senate, Senator Yahaya Abdullahi. You were making the point of all these reports, that some of which you participated in crafting them, which were handed over to government and have been more or less ignored or are gathering dust somewhere.
Well, it's not that some of them have been overtaken by events, because when you don't tackle a situation immediately when it is hot, it will escalate.
So small problems have now turned into big ones.
Exactly.
Like the banditry and all of this that was at one time restricted to just certain local governments. Now, so many states we've seen of recent, even Kano State that was immune to a lot of these problems and has started experiencing them. Your own state of Kebbi. Yeah. In addition to the bandits, you even have the special ones, the Lakurawas. In Sokoto, I understand that you cannot go to some local governments until you have an escort of the military to go in and to go out. You are not talking of Katsina, where localities have been forced to do peace deals with bandits who still walked away with their arms and ammunition. And of course, the epicenter of it all, Zamfara, where even in the past 1 week, a very prominent politician was killed just outside the capital.
So the major issue really, to me, is that a lot of these things have been happening because the economic and the political structures in the rural space had been dismantled. As of now, you go to any of our rural areas, none of the district or village heads is residing in the location where they are.
Yes, they are usually in the urban centers
they have been forced to move out.
Area.
Because they have virtually no relevance. The structures have collapsed. And along with that, the socio-economic survival mechanism of the rural population has equally collapsed.
So people don't forget, are very good recruiting ground for all sorts of criminality.
A lot of the people we call Lakurawa, a lot of people they're not foreign agents. The foreign agents now just are important in supplying them with guns and ammunition. It's a whole trade now, guns and ammunition. They supply them with guns and ammunition. But it's our own people who have been completely disenfranchised and diseconomized.
As someone who specializes in rural economy, I believe you can see how the whole thing is.
I did my PhD on rural economies, on the structure of the rural economy. That structure that I described in my PhD thesis has collapsed.
So what do we do now?
So the agricultural space, has been occupied by bandits. And people cannot even farm without the permission of bandits.
And then, like this year, the government has made it worse with importation of food items
because
that have depressed prices.
Even those who can be able
they will discourage farmers in the next round.
Farmers are discouraged by government policies and also discouraged by the activities of bandits.
So can we come back to this issue of, you made it very clear, the numbers are dismal. Just maybe a few 100,000, under 1 million combined of all the security
even
forces.
If you, for me,
yes,
that's why I didn't include that particular prayer. It was Adam Oshomole and others who included it. Yes. For me, it's not a question of numbers. The issue is, what is the security architecture? What is the security structure that you have?
And what do you mean by that?
You see, what we mean is that, what is the security doctrine? Some of us who came, I went to primary school in 1959, and I knew the kind of arrangement that you had, at that time. You have village heads, district heads with their Dogari and other people who are there on the ground as first responders.
Yes.
Then you have the NA police.
Yes. Native
authority police. If there is any problem, you deploy them. If it is beyond them, there is provincial police, a force. Those ones were allowed to operate with guns. And normally all these kind of religious and other disturbances don't go beyond provincial police forces and mobile police forces under the provinces.
Yes.
So they don't even go to regional level. They are resolved. But now, since the military took over, they centralize everything.
Everything has to get soldiers involved.
Everything, including prisons. They turn them into federal institutions. It's only recent when we did the constitutional amendment that we removed prisons from the exclusive legislative list. Now the issue now is, what kind of security doctrine are you going to have? Is it going to be a centralized doctrine, or is it going to allow for space for several forces, including first responders?
Like maybe levels. Another word for state police.
Yes, another word for state police, or whether you want the state police, or you can have another police. Even the police, they are having national guards. Even the US, they have national guard, which of course I think Babangida wanted to establish, but the military overpowered him.
Yes.
So there are several other ways in which even if you don't want to call them state police, there are some who are the community police, but there are ways in which you can create, several layers, of security.
So that if it is beyond this, the first layer, you can go to the next one. So but why is it that we are concentrating more on soldiers and less on policing? Because the police is the one that is supposed to take care of these problems.
Exactly. So the issue really is not the military. The military is a force of last resort.
And usually for even external
they can come in assistance of the police in local, which are beyond the powers of the police. But that is very rare. When we were growing up, we never knew of the army until when they took over government.
They are all in their barracks.
We don't know them.
Yes.
Nobody sees them. So the situation now that we are facing is that we have to now change the doctrine so that you can have several, multiple layers of policing. However you do it, whether by the state or by local governments or by what, or you can make them national, but with certain defined responsibilities of what they are going to do.
But in a way, are we not even there already? Because in a number of states, they have all these community watch groups, say in Katsina, in Zamfara, you have the Askarawas. In almost all the states, you have the civilian JTF.
Those ones, they are all ineffective. They are ineffective because they don't have arms, they don't have proper legislation, proper training. In crisis management, the number is few, and they are not located, at the vulnerable locations. So you have to start thinking about having, allowing the communities to take care of themselves with some local forces where they are.
But still, it does not bring us back to the military, because even communities say, look, if we had the sophisticated arms of the bandits, they are not challengers. It's because the guns we have are den guns, are non-automatic guns, when they come with machine guns and automatic rifles.
Yes.
So, and in Nigeria, I thought it's only the military that can have those kind of arsenal.
When you do proper legislation and you sit and put your heads together properly, and articulate these issues properly, you can have several layers of forces and several layers of arms, of various calibers that can be used at various levels. If they go beyond a certain level, then another force with those kind of arms can come in.
But Senator, won't the Nigerians who are currently like the parents of these girls in Maga, the communities in Zamfara, Katsina, in Sokoto and Kebbi and Niger State and Benue, also where they are living with all these problems, and now recently even Kwara State. Do you think, listening to you, they will say, look, hang on, our leaders are out of touch. They are talking about legislations and changing architecture while we are living with this problem. So it means they won't be able to rescue my little girl that is sitting in the bush with bandits.
What we are saying is that if you had that kind of architecture of first responders in Maga, those bandits would not even have come in.
But we thought we had that. Actually,
we don't have it.
There were some soldiers or security people that were deployed after the initial information.
That school was closed before. But when there were the senator came, when he came in, he was able to go around. I personally went with him to see the chief of defense staff at one point in the office of chief of defense staff, and we asked that they do some deployments, and then it was Christopher Musa, he was new, and he was able to go and do it, and the situation came down.
Right.
We saw that all the thing, but that place, around Maga, is only a river between it and Zamfara. So if they are going to attack Yauri or Kwara or Niger, they have to come through that. So we wanted to establish a whole military establishment. In fact, the military even paid compensation for a base in that area, but somehow, that base has not happened. So what they did was just to have a small police post, that was overpowered by these thugs when they came in, to take the gas. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to have a national army or national police force to deploy somebody to Maga. Get the people in Maga, local government and Maga ward, having a force that can give fast response to these people before they can even go for mobilization from higher forces.
But what happens when the bandits come with superior firepower? The first responders are no match for them.
First responders are no match, but at least they can hold ground for reinforcement to come in.
But sometimes Nigerians wonder, because there is even this report of a whole brigade commander who has been killed.
Yes.
Even when at the initial stage he succeeded in evading the terrorists.
Well, it was an ambush.
It suggests that maybe there was no quick response to rescue those who may have survived.
You see what is happening is that these thugs and bandits and criminals, they travel in numbers with at least about 100 motorcycles or more, each carrying 3 people. So a small unit, even if they have guns, 25 or so, cannot overwhelm them.
But the Nigerian government has air force. The bandits don't.
The Nigerian government has air force. Bandits don't. But that is where we are still interrogating. No coordination. That's the trouble. Very little coordination.
The moment like this thing happen, you scramble the helicopters and the other aircraft, and they are there in minutes.
What kind of communication? This is what we wanted to establish in the report that we did when I was leader of the Senate.
The billions.
This pilot, each of the security agencies is operating in silo. So unless you sit down, and coordinate their operation. In fact, what we were saying was that, look, these bandits, everybody know where they are.
Yes.
Everybody know who they are. Their locations, their operations, everything is known. You have a Nigerian military, the police, and everything. Why can't you come with one single program where you move in at the same time simultaneously to all these locations and disband them? So
that doesn't seem to be possible so far.
No, it's not that.
But it hasn't happened.
It has not happened.
I'm afraid we've run out of time. I wish we could spend some more time on this very important matter. Thank you very much for coming onto the program.
Thank you very much.
Senator
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Ali.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.